Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, iTunes, TuneIn, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no K words, no Kanye talk, no P. Diddy talk, no, actually that's not news anymore, no T talk. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And so I have topics and guests to that end. And I have special series. And today is a special series that I started maybe a year ago. And it's called Mental Health Monday Matters. So let me see. I haven't Monday, or wait. Rainy days and Mondays always get me up. And that is why I am actually practicing what I teach today. It's going to be an interesting and a bit of a challenge, and we'll work through that. I like to practice what I teach, and I'm grateful that I have the ability to learn, grow, and expand and continue to unfold to my greatest good. And that is why I'm here on the planet. So thanks for joining me before or later, now or later. You can chat with me live right now on my YouTube TV channel, which if you free subscribe down below or give me the finger, which is this one, not the other one. You'll get a link every weekday morning when I come on live, so you can play along, chat along, and give me whatever emoji you would like. So, let's see. This is consecutive week number 669 that I've been doing this good life habit, getting up every morning and talking about hope and happiness. And because it's Monday, my gratitude sandwich that I do every morning to start the show, which is the top of the bun is, what are you grateful for? And the bottom of the bun is, what do you like about yourself, or what are you grateful for inside of yourself? And I adopt Abraham Hicks' definition of gratitude as appreciation. So what do you like about yourself? And we're going to do that to model for you before bed tonight, so that you're not thinking about what you didn't get right or what you've done wrong. Instead, you're going to be thinking about and working that muscle of what you do like about yourself. Because when you are your own worst critic, you will not have a very good day, because you're constantly shitting yourself. You should have done that. You shouldn't have done that. And we know that is self-care is the tantamount foundation for good mental health. So that's why we do this. So what are you grateful for? I'm going to say I am grateful for two amazing, beautiful inside and out daughters, Chloe May and Sarah Way, who were very, very loving and caring this past weekend as my beautiful bonus mom. She crossed over that bridge into love. We all come from love and we go into love. And I was blessed to be able to hold her hand in that let's see, 11:40. So from 10 on, I just held her hand, and I got to not help, but I got to be there for her to cross over to the other side, back into love. And for that, I am grateful as well. So those are 3 gratitudes. I'm grateful that I have this platform to balance out all the bad news out there and talk about good news. And that is about the life that we have, the life that we get to live. And instead of focusing on other people's lives, that's why I say no K words, the tendency to sort of tune into things that really either we can't change or they're really not important in our lives. And since time is a non-renewable energy, whatever time we do talking about the K words or the T words and any of that we can't control is time that is taken away from talking and spending and encouraging and loving and leaning into people and relationships that we have in this thing called life. So I am so grateful that I get to do this every day. It's a privilege to connect with y'all, and 669 consecutive weeks. That's not a small number. So I'm truly grateful for that. And it looks like someone's talking in our cashew gallery, and it's Gerald Wade. And because you're first, that means you're the captain of my cashew gallery today, not my peanut gallery, but my cashew gallery. And another beautiful trails. Oh, so nice to see you. And she's got my peace in, peace out. Love it, love it, love it on her thumbnail. Thank you so much for joining part of the Happy 88 tribe, my peace in, peace out tribe, which I just love that. We have folks, if you're not part of it officially, just go to www.drmarissa.life, the good life, and free subscribe there, and you'll get some happy tools right off the bat. And let's see, what are you grateful for? I'd love it if you would put what you're grateful for on your, not if you're driving, if you're tuned in on the AM FM side, do not do that, but you can do that if you're landed somewhere. What are you grateful for? That's the top of the bun. I'll do one more gratitude. I'm grateful that there's a gym and a pool downstairs that I can roll into and start my day, waking up my body. I put my back out a bit. My back's up against the wall. And so grateful that I get to sort of stretch that out and work it out in the building. And then finally, I'm grateful for hot showers and shampoo so that I can enjoy the clean feeling. Not everybody gets that in the world. So I'm grateful for that. All right. That's the top of the bun. The bottom of the bun is, what do you like about yourself? And Gerald, I would say that you are supportive, and Trails, I would say you are loving. So what about yourself do you like is the question now. I appreciate my loving. I appreciate my heart opening. I appreciate that I care. I appreciate that I have a sense of belonging with the Martins, my bonus family, that is just so incredible when it's that expression, family of choice. I'm not saying that my birth family was not loving. Certainly, they love the best way that they can. But I know that my dad, Graham, and my mom, Dolores, for this past 16 years have been, truly parents to me and loving me 88% unconditionally, because we as humans cannot love unconditionally. We try. Dogs, I think, are the only ones that can, but they certainly gave me a base from which to grow and love and expand in a design for living that's about hope and happiness. And I'll never forget that, and I'll never truly be able to express how grateful. And in that whole process, I also gained 4 sisters. And I love them with all my heart. And Linda and Mary and Debbie and Annie and a brother-in-law, Dave, and a nephew, Dixon, and countless nephews and nieces and great nephews and great nieces who share my love for Dolores and Graham. And as we move through this time right now, that is not easy. It is with a breath. And you know, I do this all the time for others who are going through that transition time. You know, if you just do this with me and take a deep breath through your nose and releasing peace, love, joy, comfort, peace. And my fingers are tingling knowing that this is activating right now as I envelop the Martin family, myself included, in this embrace during this very challenging time. And one more deep breath in and release. And then I rub my hands and I place them over my eyes and I breathe in that love and that strength that I know is being sent from so many beautiful people in my life as well. Hi. Lovely. I didn't know what your name was. I knew you. Amy, sending love. Grateful for rediscovering your show again and again. I appreciate that I lead my life with honor and love. And Amy also shares my love and also my missing for a friend and past guest, 5-time guest on my show, who is embracing my bonus mom right now as she crossed the bridge into love, Dawn Wells. Amy was a beautiful, longtime support and friend to Dawn Wells. Y'all know her as Marianne from Gilligan's Island. And yeah, she was such a beautiful being and became a friend of mine. And that's how I got to know Amy. And now Amy can hold me as I move through the normal and painful and okay and not okay and, you know, ups and downs of this period we call grief. And that's the topic of today. So I want to just close off breakfast. Thank you for joining me for breakfast this morning. I do it every weekday morning on the show where we focus on what we're grateful for outside and what we're grateful for inside so that we can sandwich our day in the most positive way. And we balance out all the bad news out there with some good news, because I will not talk about headlines. Most of the time, if not all the time, they're negative. I will find out what is in the news at some point, but I don't want to start my day out that way. I want to purposely start it out with things that I can be grateful for and anchor and control and know that that is the most important thing is my life and my experience through it and how I can be the best possible version of who I am and claim my birthright to happiness 88% of the time. So thanks for joining me for breakfast. And now for the topic of the day. Everything is awesome is what it says on there. And it is Monday, Mental Health Monday matters. And so every Monday, we talk about an aspect of mental health that may be blocking your ability to be happy 88% of the time. Topics like perfectionism, topics like love and heartbreak, and anything that gets in the way of good mental health, or codependence and any of that kind of stuff. And y'all know I'm a PhD, not an MD, so I'm going to qualify. I'm not a clinical psychologist by choice. I am a happiness coach. I do have quite a bit of experience and some basis for the things that I talk about. And a lot of the tools come out of this book that I put together to capture what I know about living a happy life, 8 Ways to Happiness. And today, since it is Monday, you are entitled to a free Asian Oprah giveaway of an audiobook version of this book, which I actually narrate. So please do go to drmarissa.life. You'll see that is my website up on the screen, and just put your name in. And anybody that tunes in on Mondays, I know is someone like who will get a promo code and a link to get that free audiobook copy. And Amy, if you do not have that already, and Wade as well, then please do that, and I'll get that to you. So the topic is loss, grief, moving through pain, healing from the pain of loss. And I'm doing it today because I need to practice what I teach, as my bonus mom went to the other side, not yesterday, but the day before at 11:40 p.m. And she had started hospice 10 days prior. And so we knew that the end was near. And I had the blessing of being in the room and holding her hand in that last transition, not helping, because people who transition back into love, they don't need help. They, where they're going is incredibly beautiful. There is no pain. There's no suffering anymore. And my mom was definitely suffering in the end, physically. Taking those breaths was not easy, and she was in anguish. She had I didn't know it was called terminal agitation in that last stage. Those of you who've never experienced it, it's not easy to watch. It's not easy to help, because there's really, logic. There's no such thing as logic. You can't talk them out of the agitation. So it's a tough time, just trying to ease people through that transition. But I have a new appreciation for hospice. The hospice nurses were absolutely incredible in helping to help us. My sister Debbie was with me that last day, and so that we could be there for Dad, who was married to her for 74 years. And I can't, the hardest part was just hearing him deal with the loss, and heartbreaking when his was broken. And right now that's the number one priority, is just to be with him and support him as he moves through this very difficult time, which is different than mine. I only had her for 16 years. My sisters had her for, decades, and 50, 60 years. I had 70 years. And Papa is 74 years or 75 years when they met. And so my loss is not as great, but pain is pain. And when someone's not there physically anymore, it truly is one of those. Pain in life is mandatory. Suffering from it is optional, except for the first, I would say, 30 days. It is the hardest time. And I've done shows on loss before, so you can go back and look at them specifically, but I wanted today to talk about it for me and to remind myself how to move through grace, through pain, and that through grace, with grace. And I'm a little discombobulated, and it's okay, because it is one of the toughest times. I think that psychologists say the top 3 stressors is loss or death of a loved one, specifically your children, I think, is the number one on that stressor, and then loss, and then moving, and then divorce. Um, it could be divorce and moving, but those are the top three stressors in life. And certainly it's a time to embrace and be embraced, to lean on and to have folks lean on you. And there is, if I start with the first tool, is the less talking about it, the better. I know this is a talking show today, but I just had that experience is when people say, "I'm sorry for your loss," and it does help to feel, because people are expressing their heart opening for you, and it's a beautiful thing to say, and may she rest in peace. And it's probably one of the only things that is more healing than hurtful, because what follows that, and I had that happen this morning, and I know his heart is in the right place, and I know that he meant to be loving, but he said, "How old was she?" And I said 92, and the response that I know is meant well meaning, sometimes it impacts you mean more than well, is, "Well, she had a good life," or, "Well, it was time," or, "Well, she was old," which is really bad. But I know I try to take a breath and know that they mean it well. And I remember an episode when I was doing a series on with a grief expert, uh, and I'm known as a grief expert because of what happened uh, at the uh, at the library for the salon, Seal Beach salon shooting. But Larona, um she was very clear that a sentiment like God needed her more than we did sometimes is not what you want to say, right? In that first 30 days, the grief is very real, and it really hurts, and your heart feels like it's broken open. And in that time, when I think back to the library with the victims' families who were waiting to hear about their loved ones, talking is not helpful. Hugging, just being there if they're not touchy feely kind of people. Or I remember going over to Papa when he was, you know, like just really not wanting Mama to die. That's He needed to be alone just to cry. He needed just to be able to cry and deal with that grief that I could never in a million years feel, because I wasn't married to her for 74 years. And so sometimes it's good to hug, sometimes it's not good to hug, sometimes it's good to talk, and most of the time it's not good to talk. That has been my experience. And so when people come and ask me, my my best friend or my mom just lost her sister or any of that, my first coaching is always just be there physically, a touch on the arm. Can I give you a hug? And then another thing not to say is, it's okay, don't cry. It's okay, she's in a better place. It's okay, um, you know, don't, it's difficult to hear you cry, or anything to stem the flow of grief. It is my absolute knowing that grief is beautiful because it's a part of life. It is exactly what you need to work through when someone passes. Gerald, what is going on is I am using this particular show to talk about the process of grief and loss and grieving for myself, because I just lost my bonus mom and got to hold her hand in the process of her leaving her body and crossing the bridge back into love. And it was a beautiful thing. And if you have the ability to do something like that, I would encourage it, because it is a beautiful thing. And I think that our society and our upbringing sometimes makes death not a beautiful thing, a scary thing, or a thing to, be a little afraid of, or a little bit, you don't revulsion or whatever. It isn't. And I've discovered that, I think it's a couple of years ago now, that I was in the room when a very good friend of dad's was on a machine, and I was there purposefully when they shut the machine down. And it was my first time. And it was absolutely one of the most beautiful, poignant processes to be a part of. They're supporting her niece and all those who love Terry. It was beautiful. And from that point, I began to, do some discovery around death, and looking at near-death experiences, and having guests like that on. And what I've discovered, which I had a hunch about, is that technically you're not losing someone technically, because loss means like they're gone, but they're not gone. They've just moved back into love. We all transition into life from love. That's my BS, my belief system. And then when we die, we're not lost. We just transition back into that same quantum field of love. And from all of the near death experiences that I have studied and the guests that I've had, it's a beautiful place. There's music and love and light, and people don't want to come back. And it's just a very, very, very beautiful, beautiful place. And I hear sirens, which is usually, an affirmation of whatever I'm saying. That's the way I see it. And so when I am in that point of grief, when someone very close to me, who I love, and I'm sad, I recognize that I am sad, not because they're going somewhere, not because they're lost, not because they're going away forever, not because there's something wrong with where they're going. The grief I feel is for one, missing their physical presence, knowing that I'm not ever going to have her to call every morning to say, good morning, beloved. I'm not going to be able to go out and eat with her. We loved going out and eat, me, myself and mom and papa. And she loved to do creative stuff, and I loved helping her with that when she would sell stuff at Timeless Treasures. Those of you know that's one of the sponsors. And I'm going to reach out to Dawn today, and that we shared a lot of beautiful things, and I'll miss her for all of those things. That's where the sadness is. The other sadness is watching my bonus dad go through the grief of losing his bride of 74 years. There's sadness there. There's grief there. And the best thing that I can do is grieve. The best thing I can do is cry when I feel like crying, is not to hold back tears. Tears are the disinfectant that keep our hearts soft. And in that first month where this is happening, it's normal to break open, not down, but open. My heart is open to feel more love, more compassion. My heart is broken open to feel those things and to be there for those who have had that same missing or experiencing that same missing. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that is that the inability to feel grief, to block it and shove it down and not feel it, is not a very useful thing to do. And it's harmful to your body. If you compress and don't deal with the feelings and the love and the hurt behind the loss, it will get shoved down and gets infected, and it will come back up at some point in a very you know how infections start to smell. When you compress garbage, it goes to liquid and then it goes to gas. And if you don't process through that, it will bite your butt. It will come back and hurt you. And I always use this particular example because I get to do executive coaching. And one executive in particular, successful his entire career for 30, 40 years. And he reached that midlife opportunity time. I don't call it midlife crisis, but he began to break down. He would wake up and he was crying and didn't know why and couldn't stop. And so when I was working with him, I began to, to do the process that I do on balanced happiness, and asked him, was there something in the past that he had not allowed himself to grieve for? And he said, yes. He had walked in to the study of his father moments after he had shot himself and committed suicide at his office desk. And he was 9 years old. And the worst part in that experience was not that, well, it was bad enough that had happened. But the worst part was he was not allowed to grieve. He was told not to cry, suck it up, be a big boy. You're the man of the house now. And he was not allowed to grieve. And I don't blame his, the people around him. That was their way of dealing with it. But it is one of those who were in the baby boomer thought, the BS, the belief systems during that time. Grief was, not not an emotion to be felt fully in many homes. So if you are listening to this and you are in a place where you know that you haven't fully felt, and I lost my Chinese dad, when to lymphoma. And again, I use the word lost him physically. Energetically, he's still here, but physically, pretty early. It was 25 years ago. And the beautiful part about my papa, and it's kind of weird. I need to take a break, but I want to finish this story. I was doing my taxes a couple days ago, the day that mom went to heaven, and I came across a little picture. It's in his wallet right now, and it was me when I was modeling, and a little headshot, and on the back it said to my dad, my Chinese dad. And what are the chances that it was here in 3,000 pieces of paper to do my taxes in? And so it was, because I had been sitting with Papa, and so I gave him that picture, and he has it in his wallet now. And I just thought that was such a symbol, because he has been my real papa, my real dad for the last 16 years. So and it's a gift. It's a gift that I get to have this family, and then my 4 sisters, my lovely sisters. And they told me a month ago that I'm not in just in word, like I truly am. And this past month has been, such an honor to embrace and really feel part of a family that, it's a family of choice. I may not have had that feeling a lot, up in Canada, but I definitely have that feeling here. And I feel really blessed, because I feel like I have a plethora now, because I do have a lot of family here and back in Canada. So we need to take a quick break for news, weather, and traffic. That was due 6 minutes ago, but I'm so grateful to have both of you here, if not more. I know there's eyeballs that are not identifying, and if you're wondering what's going on, this is Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show, and it's Mental Health Matters Mondays. And I'm using today, where we talk about how to have great mental health and take responsibility for what we can do about our mental health, instead of reaching for things like drugs and alcohol, or shopping, or gambling, or any kind of people, place, or thing to help make us feel better. What are some things we can do to make ourselves feel better first and foremost? And that's why I do this Mental Health Monday Matters. And today in particular, it's a wonderful episode, because I get to practice what I teach, because I'm using the how to move through grief and loss with grace, and with as much happiness as possible, and with peace. That is, I'm doing it because of my own loss on what's today, Monday, Sunday, Saturday night at 11:40. I had the hand of my bonus mom as she cross that bridge into heaven, into love, whatever you want to call it, where my Chinese dad is waiting there with open arms for her. And as we stay on this side, her last words to me at 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon were, and those were the last words that she uttered. And she looked up at me in the eye and said, "Take care of Dad." And then she closed her eyes, and I said, "I love you, Mom." And she said, "I love you too." And how blessed am I to have had that as my marching orders, So that's the beauty of, being with a loved one. And I think that hospice is such a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that more and more people are doing that, not leaving this world in the hospital, but transition, having them home. She wanted to be home with Papa, and she got that wish. And, the last 10 days in hospice, just being there and being able to, talk to the people, or she couldn't hear, but we knew that she could hear. I'm sorry, she could hear it. She couldn't speak, but she could hear it. So I am a big cheerleader now for something that I didn't know or understand, which is hospice. All right. We'll be back in 2 and 2, Chuck Woolery. Not 2 minutes, just a quick ID for news, weather, and traffic. Thanks for joining me here. We'll be right back to talk more about grace, love, peace, and a loss.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pei.
And welcome back. You're tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and number one talk in the IE is in this time slot. Thank you so much. And streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course my YouTube TV channel, which is the show central for 1,333 shows and for 669 consecutive weeks. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here to support me as I live out loud on this show, as I move through the grief, the healthy feeling, the loss of my bonus mom, Dolores, and share the grief with my bonus papa, my dad, Graham, and my four sisters who were just doing the healthy thing of talking sometimes and not talking sometimes, and lots of hugs, and that is the order of the day. If you've lost someone and you haven't taken the time to feel the loss, it's never too late to really feel that. You're not gonna, that expression, your heart break. In my opinion, it feels like it's broken, but you can never really break it because it's not breakable. Our hearts are whole all the time. It may feel like it's broken, but it's a feeling. It's an indication to be easy on yourself, to love on yourself, to care on yourself. Self-soothing, self-care, self-love are the foundation of good mental health. And that's why I do this every Monday on Mental Health Monday Matters. All right. The tool that I really wanted to touch on that I believe is my best way of moving through grief and healing from that feeling of heartbreak is the one before break we did was knowing where they really are. And I can't prove to you that there is a heaven. I can't prove to you that life is not just a drop and random and chaotic, and that finite, and that there is no out there or ever after. I can't prove that to you because probably if you're looking for proof, you're arguing. And I don't like to argue. You can have whatever BS belief system you want. That's your right in life. But I choose a belief system. And there's quantum scientists, quantum physics, quantum mechanics that study energy and say that we are energy. And that if you think about a person who is dying, are they dead when they go brain dead? No. When there's no activity in the brain, they're still breathing. If you stop breathing and you put them on a ventilator, they're still not classified as dead or gone. But the moment of death is this moment, right? That's how we measure it. And what is this measuring? This is measuring energy. So for me, that proves to me, amongst other things, that life is energy. And so at that point of the energy leaving the body, there's a lot of proof now that energy continues. It is not, we're still here. We're not here in body, but we're here in energy, right? So I say, my Chinese dad is loving me from the other side. All the people we have, quote unquote, lost in body. I'm going to start saying we lost them in their body. We didn't lose them. Their energy is now, in that quantum field of love, right? That's why I say we all come from love and we all go into love, back into love. And so we get stuck though if we think they're really gone. And so I actually, in Tai Chi, there's a form that I in balanced Tai Chi Gong called the circle of life. And in that direction of the past, what I ask you to do is remember them whole. So, Amy, with Dawn, when I think or I see my interview with her, I put it on for Throwback Thursdays the other week. And when I think of her, when I think of Dawn, I get sad because I miss her in her body, right? And then I can choose to continue to go sad, which is okay. And I cry once a week on purpose because I think it's important to feel grief just like I want to feel happiness, because I know that tears are the disinfectant that keep my heart soft. I never apologize for crying. I would like that everybody on the planet did not apologize for crying. I think it's a horrible thing that we were taught to apologize for crying. Now, I don't want people crying all the time because that's just one of the myriad of emotions that we can have. But people who do not cry at all are missing the top ability to feel exhilaration, because to feel okay, that's baseline, is not good. Even keel is not good because you never feel the heights of what it is to be alive and the pleasure of being alive, because emotions are like a dumb waiter. They close like this. So if you try to cut out grief on the bottom, you're going to cut out exhilaration on the top. So that's why I want to feel grief. I want to feel sadness. I want to feel anger. I want to feel hatred every once in a while, because then I'm able to feel love. I'm able to feel excitement. I'm able to feel exhilaration and anticipation and the spark of creativity. I can't feel those things if I don't allow myself to feel grief and sadness. So the balance, though, is, I'm not talking bipolar. I'm not talking roller coaster. Life is the ability to feel all of your feelings and finding the beauty in all of those feelings. So when I remember Dawn Wells, when I remember my mom, Dolores Martin, when I remember Dr. Jimmy, when I remember Michael, my best friend in grad school, when I remember Dr. Carl McCraven, another surrogate papa. When I remember all of these individuals, I don't remember them in the last hour, right? Or the last 10 days of my mom in hospice, which was very difficult because she wasn't herself. She hasn't really been herself this last year because she's been in a lot of pain. And so I have a choice when I remember anyone who has passed to either remember them. I could remember my Chinese dad, in the last parts of lymphoma when he was in LA, and I put him up in a little cottage in Seal Beach, and I would go and spend the day with him. And instead of talking about his illness, I wrote a book, and every chapter had something that he taught me. And because it was a chronic illness, that's what I would do with him. Those of you who know anybody who's in chronic, it's a beautiful way to connect instead of just talking about physical symptoms, but to talk about past their experiences. And that's what remembering them whole is. Instead of remembering them in their last whatever that was, which usually is not positive, the illness or the chronic or the tragedy of when they were shot or whatever that is, choose to remember them whole. And it's a focus, it's your ability to think and grab out of the past, which is part of your experience, or your beautiful experience of, things that you shared or things that you enjoyed together, and things that they taught you. So with my Chinese dad, I talked about what he instilled in me to want to have education. He said, get as much as you can, as fast as you can. Your degree is something that you can't lose, and nobody can take it from you. And that's how I remember. One of the things I remember about my Chinese dad before he passed to lymphoma. For Don Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, I remember playing poker at her house and having a blast. And when she took me to one of the horse races with Gilligan's son. I have so many beautiful memories of Dawn, and Amy, I know you do as well. You have way more than I do, getting to work with her. And yes, she's agreeing. And then, I think of my beloved mom, who just went to heaven Saturday at 11:40 p.m. And I love the date. It's 2/22, 11:40 p.m. On 2025. And I remember, playing production design in her little corner at Timeless Treasures. And I shared her love for creative projects. And she taught me how to knit, or she helped me knit better. And I got to arrange all her beautiful fuzzy vests and her felt hats that she was doing those up to 92. She was still doing it. She felted hats. And it was so hard for her when she couldn't go back to Timeless Treasures and all of her friends there. She did that for decades of Dolores's original creations. And I'm so grateful that I have that memory of all the fun we had. And Dawn and Karen, they became sponsors of the show, and I would do ads for them and tell people to come down and do promotionals, and Dr. Marissa reporting live. And she just loved that. And she enjoyed it so much. And my sisters will get mad if I talk about taking her to bingo. So I won't talk about that. But there's so many other ways to remember my mom instead of the last 10 days in hospice, right? So, or the night agitation. So my Happy 88 tool, if you are in the process of never really losing them in their body, then first and foremost, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to feel like your heart is broken, knowing it's not really broken. Please allow yourself to lean on people. Please allow on anniversaries, instead of talking about them and being depressed about it. I know that I used to do that. Well, yeah, every year, a Father's Day or my dad's birthday or anything, I would, feel and start crying. And my friends are like, oh, and they feel bad, and they stopped wanting to go with me because it was depressing. And I understand that. Yes, we can shed a few tears, but then spend the rest of the day celebrating. And Amy, I think it's a time for us to get together and just talk about all the incredible things that Marianne from Gilligan's Island, Don Wells, all our good memories of her. And it's a wonderful way to remember people. I'm glad that we don't call them funerals as much. We call them celebrations of life, because that is absolutely what it is. And, I think of Dr. David Simon. I actually went to his celebration of life before he passed, because he wanted to be there to enjoy people's appreciation of him and enjoy teaching us, things before he passed and how he wanted his legacy. I think that's a great practice to adopt as well. And my bottom line here, my moose on the table, and I so love that you stayed with me this whole time to support both me and also to entertain the possibility that we all begin to look at death differently, as something not to be so maudlin around, not to be afraid of it, not to be repulsed by it, but actually seeing it as another right to life passage, that it is beautiful. Because I truly, 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 I'm so grateful that I chose to hold her hand, and I hesitated, you know, and that experience of just holding her hand for an hour and 40 minutes and feeling the life energy leave, but not leave, but come out of the body. And I felt her love. Like I could feel that, and my hands are tingling now. And that if it's a beautiful thing. So I encourage anyone and everyone who is tuned in here now or later to really, let's look at life as something beautiful. Life and death, it doesn't have to be horrible. Thank you so much. Thank you for the hearts. That's it for today. I am so happy and grateful to be able to talk about balance. It's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace, that I will be sharing more tears and laughter today as we continue to support Papa. And I get to keep my promise to Mama about take care of Dad, and that I get to spend time with a family of choice, and I hope you are too. My Happy 88 challenge is to call someone who shares a loved one who is on the other side, to just talk about it in a maybe shed a tear, because tears are the disinfectant that keep your heart soft, and then talk about things that you shared that you love. All right. Now, tomorrow, another, all week I'll be here. So come back, Amy. I'm glad you found me again too, live on my YouTube channel. Free subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.